Today we're joined by new Kennesaw State defensive coordinator Marc Mattioli, here to talk about his time prior to KSU and getting set for the Owls. And Coach making a long trip over here, coming over from Europe, head coach 2 years for the Paris Musketeers of the European League of Football. Before that, with the Parma Panthers, prior to Europe, 9 years in the SEC and Pac-12. What are the biggest differences from coaching college football at the highest level and coaching European football?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is the age that the guys start playing at. Over here, I mean, everybody that plays kind of starts playing pretty young, 8, 9 years old. Over there, they start playing a little bit later, I think. And so because of that, some of the fundamentals aren't as far along, maybe some of the knowledge of the game. And so just kind of teaching those things. But I really believe that it's important to teach those things over here as well. But I would say that's the biggest difference is just the age they start playing, and so kind of the feel of the game between Americans and European guys.
There's a lot that goes on being a head coach. How does that help you in this role at KSU?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think management of people is definitely, a big learning experience that I had being a head coach for 4 years. The building of a culture and kind of a vibe amongst the people in the building. So whether that's as the head coach or now as the defensive coordinator with the guys on defense, certainly that leadership role, I think helped me prepare for this role as the DC at Kennesaw.
Any play calls this year in French?
Maybe. There's actually a couple words that we used for different things. Like directions and right and left that R and L terms over there don't make any sense because their right and left doesn't start with R and L, so we had to change it to different words. So I just kind of got used to that, and so now as we're installing the defense here, I was like, oh wait, we got to change that back because D and G doesn't work for right and left over here. So yeah, there's definitely some little things like that'll change, and I don't know, maybe a call here or there will be in French or Italian.
All right, looking forward to that, Coach.
Yeah.
So in your time in the SEC and Pac-12, you were at Stanford and Vanderbilt. So you know what it's like to coach a true student athlete. How will you bring that into helping our Owls balance their lives on and off the field?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is just, being a college football coach or a coach in general, you really want to encourage and help the guys be at their best in all areas of their life, whether that's academics, football, off the field in their personal life. And so I think wherever you're at, that's the goal, whether it's a place like Stanford or Vanderbilt or Kennesaw State. This is a great university with a lot of demands. We practice early in the morning. So, these guys have a full schedule and there's a lot of high expectations for them, and so just being there for them and trying to encourage them and support them as they're going through this important time in their life.
You coached plenty of guys at those stops that went on to the NFL. So when players come up to you and say, "Hey, Coach, I want to go play in the league," what can you tell them?
So I think the biggest thing is it starts with that individual person. I think as a coach, you educate, you help guys understand what their job description is, how to do things, what they need to do in the weight room, on the field, all those things. But I tell all the guys, whether it's recruits or the guys already in the building, look, I can give you the tools, I can give you everything I have, but ultimately you're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for putting in the work, being dedicated, being consistent, and then it comes down to production on the field. And so I think that's the biggest thing really is helping these guys understand that there's no shortcuts, there's no secrets. It's about being responsible, being consistent and dependable, and showing up on the field and making plays.
When fans watch a Kennesaw State defense in 2025, what do you want them to see?
Yeah, so first thing, I want them to see a group that plays hard, that gives great effort. I think football is one of the great things about football is whether you're an expert or you don't know much about it at all, people can look at a game and kind of feel and see who the better team is or the better unit, that's going against each other just based on how they play, the type of energy that they play with, whether they run to the ball. And so that really is the first thing for us, is the energy that we bring and how hard we play. Past that, physicality, great execution, guys communicating and being on the same page. So I just want people to see, and I want us to be a unit that plays fast, plays physical, has a lot of fun, and hopefully makes a lot of plays.
Well, besides translating from French to English, how will you go about installing a defensive philosophy here?
Yeah, so it's one day at a time. It's starting at the very foundation of who we are as people, how we do things, the culture that we're trying to build here. It starts with that before we get to the X's and O's or even the techniques. It starts with, how we're going to do things. And that's day one. And then little by little, you build on it and build on it. But you always have to come back to your foundation. You can't talk about, hey, this is the culture that we want, and then never visit it again. It has to be every single day that you're, harping on that and ingraining that, celebrating people doing great examples of it. And then as you go, you build into the scheme and into the individual techniques within that scheme. And it's definitely a process, man. It's really one day at a time, and you have to be consistent and, be committed to that process.
This is a bit of a homecoming for you, a 2005 graduate of Roswell High School.
Yeah.
How does this opportunity at Kennesaw State truly resonate with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. On a personal level, I mean, it's amazing. I'm super grateful for this opportunity, for Coach Mack for giving me this opportunity. We talked about my experience in Europe. I resigned from my position as the head coach of the Paris Musketeers in November without my next job lined up. And the reason I did that is because I really felt like it was time for me to come back to the U.S., continue my personal life and my professional career back here. So I moved back to Atlanta, where I was from, and I didn't know what was next. I was on the job search, contacting people, networking, going on interviews, all those things. And for this to, for me to be blessed with this opportunity here in Atlanta, in the city that I'm from, in the place that I was living prior to this, is a blessing. And so to be close back home to friends and family, it's amazing. And just super grateful for that experience, and really excited to come to work every single day and give it my best.
Who is Marc Mattioli off the field?
Marc Mattioli off the field, I mean, I think a pretty regular guy. I like to do the things that make me happy. Spend time with family and friends. I try to get some exercise in here and there. I'm just a pretty laid back, normal guy, I think. I try to treat people the right way. I want to make people around me feel good and feel seen and heard. I believe that's an important thing in life. That's who I am.
Coach, glad to have you. Best of luck this spring.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Keep up with everything Kennesaw State football related by checking out KSUOwls.com.